It's slimmer, it's lighter, and they've made it better in a few ways. This is the Samsung Galaxy A56 and I've been using it for a few weeks. So let's talk about it. Samsung's latest iteration for the A50 series comes in form of the Galaxy A56, which on the surface it doesn't look like much has changed coming from the A55, except with the slight refinement to the design. The cameras remain the same, build quality is mostly the same, but it still looks like a decent upgrade nonetheless. And of course, it has the much anticipated One UI 7. This review will be focused on the Galaxy A56, how good or bad a device it is, especially when compared to what the competition has to offer, and how it compares to its predecessor, the A55. I'll reference this one a lot as I might not do a separate comparison video. Also, I went on a trip to Qatar and took this with me, so you'll be seeing some videos and photos from the trip to give you an idea of what to expect from its cameras. Now let's dive into the details of Samsung's best A-series device. For price, it is retailing at around $450 depending on where you're buying from. You can probably find it for around $400 on Amazon right now. Links will be in the description. In Nigeria, it has a starting price of around 577k, and that gets you the base version of 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. There is no need talking about the unboxing experience for obvious reasons. The Galaxy A56 has changed a bit when compared to last year's device. It's slimmer, lighter, and the most obvious change is to the camera design. We last saw this arrangement with the Galaxy Note 10 series. This time though, the bump is thicker. You can also notice what appears to be a matte metal layer protecting the cameras, different from just glass when compared to say the A36. There is slight elevation between the camera bump and the rear panel. This might accumulate some dust. We get the A56 in a couple of muted colors. This is the light grey option. You can also get olive, black, and I believe pink. It does look more premium than the A55 if you ask me, and I'm pretty sure there are some fans of the S series who are happier it can now be told apart. The key island is still present, SIM slot is now positioned at the bottom. Samsung has eliminated the SD card slot, so keep that in mind should you be planning to get the base storage option. It's not going to be expandable. The overall build quality is improved with the Galaxy A56. We now have Gorilla Glass Victus Plus on both the display and the rear. Ingress protection remains the same at IP67, which should be enough, but the competition is now offering IP68 and IP69 even on lower priced phones. It's not a deal breaker though, I guess IP67 is good enough. On the display side of things, nothing much has changed with the specs on paper, but it is now slightly brighter at up to 1200 nits and the bezels have been slightly trimmed. It is still the vibrant Super AMOLED with HDR10 plus 120Hz refresh rate. It's a good looking display and I really have no complaints. Now it might not be the brightest on paper at this price point nor have the slimmest bezels, but it's still one of the best looking ones. On the refresh rate, Samsung only allows two options. You can either set it to 60Hz or adaptive. From my experience, I've only observed it switch between 60 and 120, no in between. Sometimes though it goes to 0 when the device is idle or on the lock screen. But so far everything is smooth, mostly. Now let's talk One UI 7. The Galaxy A56 runs Android 15 out the box and is loaded with Samsung's latest software. It's also expected to get 6 years of major OS upgrades. That's a big deal, especially for a mid-range phone. Although Samsung's latest delay with software updates is something you might want to be wary of. One UI 7 is the much needed refresh to Samsung's software. The animations are way better, you get more customization options, and the overall software experience is not as jittery as with previous versions of One UI. You now get the option to change the app drawer arrangement to vertical instead of the previous horizontal style. You just need to set the sorting to alphabetical order. Most importantly, Good Lock now works here and is available to all regions. No need for third-party solutions like FineLock. It is available on the Galaxy Store right now, even for the A55 and other devices not on One UI 7. Now this gives you plenty of control over the customization options with all the various modules if you like to explore. While the new software brings major improvements both visually and otherwise, it's not on the level of the flagships. The now bar on the lock screen and AOD is awkwardly placed and it's probably because of the optical fingerprint scanner position. Also, occasionally you still get those slight delays on the software, say just after launching the cameras or when the phone has been idle for a while. It takes a few seconds to become properly responsive, but overall it's a major improvement from the previous generation. On AI features, we get Circle to Search, Object Eraser, AI Select, and a few more. You can find them all under the Advanced Features section in the Settings application. They are categorized under Intelligent Features. The Object Eraser works fine as long as you don't give it something as complex as refilling your face, although I've seen way more affordable phones do it better. One AI feature you might like is Best Face, similar to what we have on Google Pixels, where you can take a photo and later replace your face with a version where you look better. But you need to make sure live photo is enabled when taking your shots. Overall, while not as packed as the flagship version, One UI 7 still offers solid software experience, and the promise of 6 years of support make it one of the most preferred. Now let's talk performance. The A56 sports the Exynos 1580 processor, an upgrade from the 1480 we got on the A55. Performance is improved, and for the most part it's a capable processor for the A56. The only part you find it lacking is when compared to most of the competition. It is not the best processor for the price. There are devices with the Snapdragon 8s Gen 3, also options with the Dimensity 8350. These are way better processors. But the Exynos 1580 on the Galaxy A56 gets the job done. It handles tasks with a breeze and is pretty well optimized, including for gaming. As long as Warzone Mobile is not one of your favorites, it struggles to run the game, it is barely playable. When the A55 launched, we also had this problem, which got solved later. It took 3 months though. The A55 fares better with Warzone Mobile, by the way. With a couple of updates, it should run the game just fine. It's just a matter of when that will happen. It runs fine with other games like PUBG Mobile. The maximum graphics setting available is HDR, and you can get ultra frame rate. You can go as high as extreme frame rate when you set the graphics to smooth. For Call of Duty Mobile, it runs smoothly at very high graphics and frame rate. You get max frame rate when the graphics is dropped a notch to high. It handles long sessions of gaming just fine, and performance is consistent with little to no frame drops. For its price, there are other devices with way better gaming performance. Nothing has changed with battery life. It's the same 5000 mAh battery, and it's well optimized to last you a day of average use. Where we get some improvement is the charging speed. It now supports 45 watts fast charging. I believe that's the most you can get on any Samsung phone. For a direct comparison on how the Galaxy A56 compares to the A55, there's the obvious refinement to the design. It's slimmer, lighter, and now has Gorilla Glass Victors on both the display and rear. The display is brighter, the processor is upgraded and better. One UI 7 also contributes to a much better software experience, but you can argue the A55 will get it eventually. Nothing has changed with the camera specifications. Battery is also the same, but the charging is now faster. That's pretty much it when you compare these two. The Galaxy A56 has the same camera configuration as its predecessor, except on the selfie camera, where we see a drop from 32 to 12 megapixels. On the rear, we get a triple combination of a 50 megapixel main camera, 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. This is one area where I feel Samsung could have done a lot better. We should be getting a telephoto at this price point. With that said, the cameras do a good job taking photos. 3 wise men, yeah. Both the ultra wide and main cameras give good results. Colors are vibrant, detail is good. Now sometimes with human subjects it can appear a bit hazy. Not sure if that's the right word, but you get the gist. But when it gets it right, the results are pleasant. Low light performance could be better, but it is acceptable. Selfies are impressive mostly when outdoors. Skin tone is great and the images are sharp both with portraits and regular shots. In less than ideal lighting conditions, you might notice some noise with the photos, but it looks decent overall. In comparison to the Galaxy A55, sometimes you can tell them apart, other times they are very similar. So this is how the Galaxy A56 compares to its predecessor, the A55. 4K 30 FPS out here in the desert area, about to go into the desert in these rides. Actually the bigger one's way back there. Looks like the A55 has better background blur. Video performance is great and stabilization is on point even with 4K videos. Compared to the A55 there is some improvement, but just like with photos, both are close. I think the A56 handles darker areas a bit better, but in some cases it looks better on the A55. The Samsung Galaxy A56 is a device that feels good on the hands and is the closest you can get to a Samsung flagship experience without actually buying the S series. Let's just say it sits at the pinnacle of Samsung's A series, but you'll find it lacking in some areas. For starters, at this price point, you'll see devices like Tecno's Camon 40 Premier, Infinix Note 50 Pro Plus or the Nothing Phone 3A offering a telephoto camera. Now, some of these devices also got processors that far outperform the Exynos 1580, but one thing they do not have is the software support of Samsung and of course availability across different regions. And then the brand name. People love and trust brand names. Now, does it make the Galaxy A56 an overall lesser device compared to what the competition is offering? Not at all. It is a matter of fact one of the most well-rounded and balanced devices. I just feel Samsung keeps holding back in camera hardware and software smoothness. It is not that phone for the gaming focused user, but it will game on high graphics just fine. So, should you upgrade if you are coming from the A55? I don't think so. Just wait for One UI 7 before making that decision. That is the Galaxy A56 for you, and hopefully you were also able to get an idea of how it compares to its predecessor, the A55. If you want to see how it compares to the Galaxy A36 or Tecno's Camon 40 Premier, or even the A55 compared to the A36, or maybe the A56 compared to Nothing Phone's 3A, do hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. I'll compare based on what is most requested in the comments. Peace out.